طيب بداية نريد أن نؤكد أنه للتو انتهت الاتصالات مع جميع الأطراف في إطار الوساطة القطرية مع شركائنا الإقليميين والدوليين، وتم استلام قوائم المدنيين الذين سيتم الإفراج عنهم من الجانبين، وبناء على ذلك طبعا تم تبادل هذه القوائم وتأكيدها. تم أخيرا وبعد اتصالات مكثفة تسليم القائمة الخاصة بالمدنيين الذين سيتم الإفراج عنهم من غزة إلى جهاز الاستخبارات الإسرائيلي الموساد، والذي يعمل طبعا على تطبيق الاتفاق. وبناء على ذلك سيتم أو ستبدأ الهدنة الإنسانية في تمام الساعة 7 من صباح يوم الجمعة الموافق 24/11 أي يوم غد الجمعة إن شاء الله. وسيتم تسليم الدفعة الأولى من الرهائن المدنيين حوالي الساعة 4 من عصر نفس اليوم. سيكون عددهم 13 من النساء والأطفال، سيكونون طبعا من الأسر، بمعنى أن لو كان هناك مجموعة من الرهائن من أسرة واحدة سيتم الإفراج عنهم جميعا في إطار هذه الدفعة الأولى. كما قلنا أن الإفراج سيكون عن 50 ولكن مقسمين على 4 أيام، فاليوم الأول سيكون 13 شخصا. جرت حقيقة يوم أمس اتصالات مكثفة وحثيثة جدا في إطار الوصول إلى شكل الخطة التنفيذية لتطبيق الاتفاق. كما قلنا لكم سابقا بأن الاتفاق بحاجة إلى خطة تنفيذية، وأن هذه الخطة التنفيذية هدفها الأساسي من وجهة نظرنا كوسيط هي ضمان الوصول الآمن للرهائن إلى محطتهم النهائية. عقدت حقيقة اجتماعات طويلة جدا بالأمس بحضور الأشقاء المصريين وأطراف النزاع. هذه الاجتماعات استمرت إلى ساعات مبكرة من صباح هذا اليوم، واستمر التنسيق خلال هذا اليوم، آخره كان بهذا الاتصال الذي ذكرته لكم وتم فيه تسليم القوائم. بطبيعة الحال مع بداية هذه الهدنة سيكون أملنا الرئيسي في أن تقود هذه الهدنة الإنسانية إلى فرصة لنا جميعا لكي نبدأ في عمل أكبر في إطار تحقيق هدنة دائمة وفي إطار تحقيق سلام دائم. كما أن هذه ال4 أيام خلالها سيتم جمع المعلومات حول بقية الرهائن للنظر في إمكانية أن يكون هناك أيضا أعداد أكبر من الرهائن يتم الإفراج عنهم، وبالتالي تمديد مدة هذه الهدنة. We have just finished with all the communication with all parties in order to ascertain the lists of those civilians who will be freed as a result of the deal agreed upon by both parties. The lists have been handed to both sides, and finally, in a communication just now, the list has been handed to the Israeli intelligence service, the Mossad, in order to facilitate the implementation of the deal. According to this, of course, and as the agreement took place, the beginning of the pause will be 7 a.m. Friday, the 24th of November, and it will last, of course, as agreed, for 4 days. And the first batch of civilians to be released from Gaza will be around 4 p.m. of the same day. They will be 13 in number, all women and children, and those hostages who are from the same families will be put together within the same patch. Obviously, every day will include a number of civilians, as agreed, to total 50 within the 4 days. The communications that took place and the meetings that took place all through yesterday went on until early morning today with the Egyptians and the parties of the conflict present here in Doha. The meetings went very well and in a positive environment, and the results, of course, was the implementation plan of the agreement, which we have always said needed to be something that is concrete and very ready to create a safe environment for the release of the hostages. This is what I have here, information for you right now, and I'll be taking questions. Ahmed.
من سيقوم بالإشراف على تنفيذ الهدنة في قطاع غزة؟
طبعا أحمد، كما تعلم أن الطرفين لديهم التزام عالي حسب تقديرنا بهذه الاتفاقية أو بهذا الاتفاق، وعليه فأن نحن نثق بأن هناك اهتمام من قبل الطرفين في هذا الأمر، ونحن كوسيط طبعا نقوم بدورنا في نقل الرسائل بين الأطراف وضمان السير الإيجابي لهذا الاتفاق، ولكن على الأرض بلا شك أن من هم على الأرض هم من يحددون درجة الالتزام. نحن لدينا ثقة عالية وننظر بإيجابية عالية إلى التزام الطرفين، ونرجو أن نرى هذا يتحقق على الأرض خلال الأيام القادمة. Becky.
Thank you, sir. What is the process and route by which the hostages will be transferred out of Gaza into Israel?
I'm sorry, Becky, I can't disclose information for security reasons, and as we've always said, our main objective here is the safety of the hostages, so we can't disclose a lot of information regarding the routes they will be going through, but we will be focusing on making sure that they get there safely, through making sure that through our operations room that will work with both the Red Cross and the parties of the conflict, that all information is in real time and everybody is getting the information the right way so we can move them safely from one place to another.
And a follow question, if I can. Are you mediating a separate track with Hamas for the release of non-Israelis, specifically Americans, and are there Americans on the list?
The criteria on which to prioritize the hostages was purely humanitarian, as you know, and our focus was on getting the women and children out of harm's way as soon as possible, which is basically what we are doing within this agreement. And we will be going through, hopefully, that the momentum carried by this deal would help us get everybody out in time, and at the same time, of course, lessen the hardship of the people in Gaza through the humanitarian pause that is taking place.
Tomorrow at 7 a.m. is it going to be the time when we should also expect aid delivered into Gaza? A follow-up question, if you don't mind. Could this be the opportunity to further expand this deal into something bigger that could pave the way for major settlement?
As we talked about, the humanitarian aid is an integral part of this deal. The aid will start going in within, of course, the calm period that will start at 7 a.m. So we are expecting aid to go in as soon as possible from Rafah crossing. You know that the aid has been there, in coordination with the Egyptians and all the international donors. So it's going to be coming in through the crossing as soon as we have a period of calm, where, of course, even the aid workers would be safe in going in. It would be a fraction of the need in Gaza. The need is so great in Gaza that no matter how much aid you are going to bring in, there will be certainly more need for aid, but we are hoping to bring in as much as possible within the confines of the deal. And of course, our aim is for this deal to end with a lasting truce. Right now, of course, the confines of this deal are these 4 days that are subject to a second phase and following phases of expanding the pause through the formula of getting more hostages out and therefore getting more time for the pause. We are hoping that momentum will carry and that we would find this would open the door for further and more deep negotiations towards an end to this violence. Please.
سعادتك سؤال يتعلق بوقف الأعمال القتالية وإطلاق النار. هل هناك أي تفاصيل تتعلق بهذا الموضوع خلال الأيام الأربعة لتنفيذ شروطنا؟
طبعا تم الاتفاق على أن يتم هناك وقف كامل لإطلاق النار خلال هذه الفترة، بما يتضمن طبعا سواء من الجو أو الأرض، وما نتأمل طبعا أن لا يكون هناك أي خروقات، وهذا ما التزم به الجانبان. وسيكون هناك فترة تكون فيها الأجواء صافية تماما لصالح إخراج الرهائن في الفترة التي يتم فيها إخراج الرهائن مباشرة.
صابر أيوب، التلفزيون العربي. في حال وجود أو حدوث أي خروقات من الجانبين، من يتولى المراقبة في هذه الحالة؟ وهل هناك إجراءات معينة مدرجة ضمن بنود الاتفاق؟ في الناحية الأخرى أيضا بالنسبة لإطلاق سراح الأسرى الفلسطينيين، من يتولى هذه العملية؟ لمن يسلمون ومن يتحقق من هويتهم؟ نعلم أن من الجانب الإسرائيلي هنالك المخابرات الإسرائيلية بطبيعة الحال. كذلك هل تسمح الأيام الأربعة للهدنة بدخول أيضا طواقم طبية، مراقبين، صحفيين إلى قطاع غزة للاطلاع على الأوضاع الكارثية هنالك؟
بالنسبة لمسألة بنود الاتفاق التفصيلية فيما يتعلق بتبادل السجناء، لا أريد الحديث عن هذه التفاصيل. كما قلنا أن كثير من هذه التفاصيل نريد أن نبقيها لمن هم في الميدان، ونضمن من خلال إبقاء هذه المعلومات لديهم أن يكون هناك تسليم مناسب من الطرفين والتزام مناسب بهذه الهدنة. أي خروقات في إطار هذه الهدنة، طبعا كما قلنا الطرفين هم طرفي النزاع، الطرفين هم الموجودون على الأرض، والطرفين لديهم التزام بالبنود التي تم الاتفاق عليها، ونتوقع من الطرفين أن يلتزموا بها طبعا. ونحن ننظر بإيجابية عالية حقيقة إلى التزام الطرفين بهذا الأمر. مسألة دخول طواقم طبية، طبعا سترون ابتداء من الغد طبعا دخول هذه المساعدات بأشكالها المختلفة إلى غزة. ليست لدي حاليا تفاصيل حول طبيعة هذه المساعدات التي تدخل، ولكن لا شك لدي أن ذلك سيتضمن دخول كذلك عمال الإغاثة بالإضافة إلى المساعدات، ولكن في الوقت الحالي التركيز هو على دخول المساعدات أولا، وثم البحث في بقية التفاصيل. Andrew?
Thank you. Andrew Mills from Reuters. Dr. Majid, could you please specify whether it's 7 o'clock a.m. Local time in Gaza? And my main question is about the release of Palestinians from Israeli jails. How many Palestinians will be released tomorrow? Where will they be released? And can you tell us more details about who they are?
So it's 7 a.m. Local time.
Gaza time.
In Gaza, yes, not international timing. So it's 7 a.m. Local time over there. Regarding the Palestinians, I can't disclose right now information about how much, how many of them will be freed tomorrow. But I can tell you that the deal is a reciprocal deal, so we're expecting a release to happen also on the Israeli side
Tomorrow. You're expecting a release tomorrow.
As a result of the release of hostages at 4 p.m. around 4 p.m. in Gaza. Yes.
Thank you.
Stephen.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask about the Red Cross, Red Crescent. Will they be accompanying the hostages out, or throughout Gaza, or they're meeting them at the edge of Gaza? And will they be able to visit the hostages that aren't being released? I know that was being discussed. And just to follow on Becky's question, have specific evacuation routes been set yet, and you just can't talk about them? Without compromising, without sharing too much detail, will hostages be leaving directly into Israel, or potentially through Rafah and then home to Israel?
Regarding the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, they have been designated to receive the hostages, but I can't discuss the details of how that will happen or where they will take them. But of course, as I said, they are part of the operations room that is run from here in Doha, and they will take the responsibility there. And we appreciate, of course, all the work that the Red Cross is doing on this, and they are taking a risk with their own staff in Gaza. But they will be an integral part of handling the hostages. But as I said, I can't get into the details of that, and I also can't get into the details of where they will be leaving or where they will be coming out. I think a lot of things on the ground will affect this. The important thing is that we maintain a very clear line of communication with everybody through the operation room, and make sure that the environment which the hostage transfer will happen will be a safe one, and that we guarantee the safety of all of them for them to be reunited with their families.
Will the Red Cross be able to visit the other hostages that aren't being released?
I don't have an update on this right now, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anwar?
السلام عليكم. أنا عندي سؤال بالنسبة للمفاوضات اليوم الوساطة. هل تم الحديث عن تمديد الهدنة لأكثر من 4 أيام خلال جهود الوساطة اليوم؟ والسؤال الثاني بالنسبة للأسرى الفلسطينيين، هل هناك تزامن بين الإفراج عن الأسرى الإسرائيليين والأسرى الفلسطينيين، وهل سيتم إخراجهم إلى بيوتهم في مدن الضفة الغربية وقطاع غزة؟ شكرا.
طبعا بالنسبة لتمديد الهدنة كما قلنا قبل قليل أنور، الاتفاق حاليا هو أن تستغل هذه فترة الهدنة الإنسانية لمدة 4 أيام في زيادة المعلومات حول هؤلاء الرهائن، أين هم ووضعهم في غزة حاليا، ما يمكن أن يمكن للوصول لاتفاق آخر قبل نهاية هذه الهدنة لتمديدها لصالح إطلاق سراح المزيد من الرهائن. ولكن طبعا الاتفاق حاليا هو 4 أيام قابلة للتمديد بناء على الإفراج عن المزيد من الاتفاق على الإفراج عن المزيد من الرهائن. إيش كان سؤالك الثاني أنور؟ نعم. حاليا أنا ما أقدر أعطيك معلومات حول هذا الأمر، ولكن كما قلنا أن هذه صفقة تبادل، وبالتالي من المتوقع أن يكون تبادل يعني في مدى زمني متقارب.
Asman Qarjoudi from Doha News. We saw this morning that Israel arrested the head of the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. Was this mentioned in today's discussions, or is it going to be mentioned in future discussions?
I am not aware of this specific case, so I can't comment on it. Sorry.
Thank you.
والمدى الزمني لدخول هذه المساعدات، وأيضا إشارة إلى موضوع وقف إطلاق النار سعادتك. بس فقط عندما نتحدث عن وقف إطلاق نار شامل نتحدث أيضا عن شمال قطاع غزة.
جميل. أولا بالنسبة لوقف إطلاق النار فهو وقف إطلاق نار شامل في قطاع غزة بغض النظر عن شماله أو جنوبه. بالنسبة للمساعدات كما قلنا بأن المساعدات سيبدأ دخولها فور سريان هذه الهدنة عبر معبر رفح بالتنسيق مع الأشقاء في مصر وكل الأطراف التي جاءت بمساعدات إلى منطقة العريش وإلى رفح لإدخالها خلال هذه الفترة. وأملنا هو في دخول أكبر كمية ممكن من المساعدات في إطار بنود الاتفاق وما تم التوافق عليه فيها. وكل هذه المساعدات بلا شك لو دخلت حتى في يوم واحد لن تكون كافية لسد أقل حاجات سكان القطاع الذي يعاني الأمرين بسبب هذا العدوان المستمر. سوزان.
Thank you. Can you walk us through how we expect things to progress from 4 p.m. onwards? Is there a certain number of hostages who we know will be part of that first transfer? And then what should we expect to see in the next 24 hours after that?
So the first release will be of 13 individuals of women and children. Some of them are elderly women, some of them are women, and others, of course, are children, as we stated. They will be released at approximately 4 p.m., I must say. As you might expect, it's not exact science to decide on the time itself. It would have a lot of moving parts on the ground, but approximately 4 p.m. And that will be happening every day within a specific window of time where the situation will be much safer for them to move about. They will be, as I said, handed over to the Red Cross, and I won't get into the details of how they are dealt with after that, but the idea is to make the transfer as safe as possible for all parties. You have to remember this is a war zone, and we need to make sure, and this is why the discussions yesterday went until early this morning, to make sure that the executive plan for the implementation of this agreement troubleshoots any possible, and safeguards against any possible problems within the release itself.
So the releases will be happening at 4 p.m. each day?
I only have the timing for the first day and the number for the first day, and then every day will be. So the lists that were exchanged today were actually the lists for the first day. Please.
Becky Anderson from CNN. What would constitute a break in this truce, a breaking of this truce? We're talking about a truce on the ground and as I understand it, in the air. So can you just describe what will be seen as a breakdown in that?
So I don't think I can get into the technicalities, tactically on the ground. Of course, this is to be handled by the people who are there on the ground. But what I can tell you is that the agreement is about full cessation of hostilities within the 4 days. So obviously, any resumption of hostilities of any kind would be a breach. And I think it's very important that lines of communication remain open, so that any possible breach, however it is defined, is communicated immediately to both sides, and there is a way to walk back from it and make sure that we continue with it. Yes.
Can I just ask a second question here? Can you just give us some sense about why we have seen delays? Has it been that Hamas or Israel has made any further demands, further to what was in the proposal that was agreed upon 24 hours ago? And are you expecting any further delays?
We are hoping that we don't see any delays, and I think we've reached a point now where everything is in place and we are ready to go on the ground. So we are hopeful that, as I told you, by 7 a.m. tomorrow, everything will stop and we'll have the beginning of the humanitarian truce, or pause. When it comes to what were the reasons of the delays, I can tell you that the discussions over the details and the schematics of how this will happen were very difficult and very detailed, because we wanted, as I said, to make sure that nothing would cause harm in the process of getting the hostages out, but also that the parameters of the agreement are agreed upon in the operational sense between both sides, and that took a lot of discussions between both sides. But we are happy to report that the discussions happened in a very positive environment where both sides showed their commitment to the agreement itself.
Sorry, any further demands?
I am not aware of any further demands that resulted in the delay, but as I told you, the agreement is still as it stands and as it was agreed upon from day one.
Thank you.
معنية بهذه الهدنة وتشملها، وكذلك ربما الحوثيين أيضا في اليمن. السؤال الثاني، من خلال خبراتكم هل لمستم رغبة لدى الطرفين في الوصول إلى هدنة دائمة ووقف شامل لإطلاق النار؟
بالنسبة لامتداد هذه الهدنة فهو يغطي فقط قطاع غزة. هذا الاتفاق يغطي قطاع غزة ويغطي وساطتنا المباشرة مع شركائنا بين غزة أي حماس والاحتلال الإسرائيلي. فنحن لا نتحدث هنا عن في أطرافه، نحن نتحدث تحديدا عن الوضع في غزة الذي تقوده حماس، ولكن يشمل الجميع في غزة بلا شك، وفيما يقابل ذلك طبعا الاحتلال الإسرائيلي أو إسرائيل. هل هناك رغبة لدى الطرفين؟ ما لمسناه حقيقة أن هناك درجة التزام عالية بهذا الاتفاق وببنود هذا الاتفاق. أعتقد أن من المبكر اليوم الحديث عن ما بعده. هدفنا كان من الوصول إلى هذا الاتفاق، الهدف الرئيسي طبعا كان هو أن يكون هو دافعا لمزيد من الهدن، وبالتالي يقود إلى إنهاء حالة الحرب هذه التي يعاني منها الجميع، والتي يجب حقيقة أن تصل إلى نهاية في أقرب الآجال، ولا يمكن ذلك إلا من خلال هذا البناء على الاتفاقات التي تتم.
صابر أيوب، تلفزيون العربي مرة أخرى. ربما من السهل تطبيق هذه الهدنة في جنوب غزة، حيث حظر الطيران وعدم إطلاق صواريخ ربما يكفي، لكن في شمال غزة حيث يوجد توغل إسرائيلي للدبابات والآليات والقناصة أيضا، هل هنالك جرى الحديث عن تثبيت كلا الطرفين، سواء من المقاومة المتواجدة بين أنقاض شمال غزة والآليات الإسرائيلية والقناصة، هل جرى تثبيت حدود كل من الجانبين، أم أن هنالك ربما حرية للتنقل وكما هو معروف يمكن أن يؤدي إلى خرق الهدنة؟ السؤال الثاني هو حول طلعات التجسس التي تقوم بها الطائرات الإسرائيلية، هل أيضا هي محظورة خلال مدة هذه الأربعة أيام؟
بالنسبة للوضع في شمال غزة صابر، لا يمكن الحديث عن التحركات العسكرية على الأرض. كما تعلم هذه أمور مرتبطة بالوضع الميداني وبحساسيات الوضع الميداني، ولكن ما يمكن التأكيد عليه إجابة على السؤالين التي تفضلت بهم أن هناك اتفاق على وقف كامل وشامل لإطلاق النار خلال هذه الفترة. بالنسبة لمهام الاستطلاع المرتبطة بوجود القوات الإسرائيلية على الأرض، فهناك اتفاق على أوقات معينة لا يكون في هذا الاستطلاع موجودا، لكن الاتفاق هو على وقف إطلاق النار بشكل كامل في قطاع غزة. Callum?
Hi, Callum Payton from AFP. In the process of making sure that the deal was, that the logistics were and the schematics, as you described them, were completely in place for things to go forward today, did you feel that things were put in place for, as this scheme continues in the way that it's been laid out, for more releases over the following days? Are you still confident that that will be able to happen?
We are hopeful. I don't know if I should say confident, but we are very hopeful. And as I said, the commitment we have seen from both sides leads us to be very positive, to deal with this very positively. We are seeing a good level of commitment over the agreement itself. The details hashed out in the executive plan of this agreement are very sound and very robust, and we are hoping that these 4 days would work as a proof of concept for further de-escalation measures, including extending this humanitarian pause, but also getting to a more sustainable truce in Gaza. Of course, I have to remind everybody, and I'm sure that all of you know this, in covering other conflicts around the world, these are not set in stone. They are not completely guaranteed. Anything can happen on the ground. But we are confident that with the signatories of the agreement and the international and regional partners who are working with us on this, that everybody is highly committed for the success of this humanitarian pause, and it actually constitutes the first glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel of this crisis, and this is why we needed to succeed, and we are hoping and working towards it succeeding. The operation room run from here in Doha. The main purpose of having this operation room is to make sure that information is relayed in real time, and that any issue that comes up can be dealt with immediately and not allow it to escalate and in a way that would harm would make the whole deal collapse. Stephen?
One of the complications of the past 24 hours seems to have been these lists of the small batch for each day. So you've received the list for the first batch. Do you expect there to be similar complications and contentiousness around setting the list each day? And is there a specific time that's been set each day for, okay, the list needs to be set for the next day at whatever it is, 5 p.m. the day before? And also, I didn't quite catch the response on the drone surveillance. We understand that Israeli drone surveillance won't be happening during a certain part of the day to allow for the hostage handover to happen. Is it just Israeli surveillance? Because we also understand that the Americans and maybe some of the Europeans are also running drones in the area.
Okay, so regarding the lists that are going out every day, it's a day-by-day process. We'll be receiving the lists every day and handing them over on the Israeli side to the Mossad, and they will handle the list from their side also, so we can give it to the other side. Whenever we have both lists confirmed, this is where we can begin, with the process of getting the people out. But there's an agreement on the time intervals, so there will be a group each day released, and that of course is, as I said, it's pending the list coming in. But obviously, as we have laid out the timeline in the operational plan, it should go, without necessarily any fault in getting the lists through. Our teams are working day and night. I can tell you, I've been liaising with the team as late as 2 a.m. Yesterday, and as early as 4 a.m. Today. They are working on this to make sure that everything happens as quickly as possible. Obviously, it is in nobody's interest to delay the beginning of this agreement and the implementation of the humanitarian truce. Every moment that goes by is translated into a life lost, and therefore it is very important for us to do it. But we need to do it the right way. We need to do it in a way that would guarantee the safety of the hostages and the success of the truce itself and the sustainability of the truce. Yes, Becky?
Can I just confirm, are all of those whose names are on the list alive?
Those who will be released, yes. We have confirmation that those who will be released are all in good health. Yeah. Andrew?
Thank you. Has beyond this first group of 50 hostages or so that we expect to be released in this first 4 days, has Hamas provided you a more comprehensive list of the hostages that they do have? Have they gathered more hostages than 50? How many hostages do we expect there are alive in Gaza now?
Okay, Andrew, I can't comment on the numbers right now because we don't have verifiable information over the hostages and their status at the moment. I can tell you that one of the things that we are looking to happen during the 4 days of pause is to collect more information over the hostages, those who we have been told are not all with Hamas, and to get all the numbers, to get all the information. That would help in a second wave that we are hoping by the 4th day we'd have an agreement in place to release more hostages and thereby extend the pause in Gaza. I forgot to answer the question, Stephen, on the drones. So I'll tell you, as you rightly mentioned, there will be a period of time where the skies will be clear, and that would allow for the hostage release to happen in a safe environment. As you might imagine, in the first iteration of this, when the mediation secured the release of two American ladies, one of the main challenges was, of course, the sounds that are coming in, the drones flying over or whatever that might be mistook for an attack at the time. So, of course, we need to make sure that the movement happens in a very safe environment, so it doesn't cause any problems with the hostage release. Yes, so clear skies.
بموضوع جدلية الصليب الأحمر وهل سيقوم بزيارة المحتجزين لدى حركة حماس. السؤال الثاني يتعلق بحركة سكان غزة شمالا وجنوبا. هل ستكون هذه الحركة مؤمنة؟ هل هناك تفاصيل تتعلق بهذا الموضوع؟
ليس لدي تفاصيل حول الموضوعين اللي ذكرتهم. أيوة أنور.
موضوع المساعدات، هل هناك التزام من جانب الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بإيصال المساعدات إلى شمال غزة والمساعدات الطبية أيضا للمستشفيات قطاع غزة في الشمال، تجهيزات والمستهلكات الطبية؟
أيضا التفاصيل حول المساعدات سنأتيكم بها في وقت لاحق إن شاء الله. حاليا ما عندي تفاصيل حول المساعدات يعني واضحة.
يعطيك العافية سعادتك. موسى العجار من وكالة الأنباء القطرية. سعادتك بس بدي أسألك عن الفترة الزمنية التي استغرقها الجانب القطري لحينما توصلتم لهذا الاتفاق.
طبعا كما تعلم أن منذ 7 من أكتوبر بدأت دولة قطر في اتصالاتها مع جميع الأطراف لتحقيق الوصول إلى هذا الاتفاق، وبالتالي ال6 أسابيع الماضية كانت مليئة بالنسبة للفريق المكلف بالتفاوض من الجانب القطري أو فريق الوساطة القطري، كانت مليئة بأيام خالية من الراحة وأسابيع متواصلة من العمل المستمر للوصول لهذا الاتفاق. حقيقة يعني أنا أتكلم نيابة عن زملائي الذين يعملون في هذا الموضوع من رأس الهرم وحتى الذين يعملون يوميا. العمل حقيقة لم يتوقف في أي ساعة من اليوم للوصول لهذا الاتفاق منذ اليوم الأول وحتى يومنا هذا. وبلا شك كان هناك لحظات صعبة جدا وكان هناك لحظات باعثة للأمل في هذا الإطار. وما نراه طبعا اليوم في هذا الاتفاق لا يعني أن العمل انتهى بالنسبة لهذا الفريق. العمل بدأ الآن بالنسبة لهذا الفريق لضمان أولا نجاح هذه الهدنة، نجاح تبادل الأسرى، وضمان أن يتم استغلال هذه الفرصة لتكوين بيئة مناسبة أو لإطلاق بيئة مناسبة لمزيد من الهدن وكذلك الوصول إلى حالة سلام نهائية.
Dr. Ansari, we understand that Iran's foreign minister is going to pay a visit to Qatar. Could this be the moment for further talks? Is it going to be mainly about Gaza? Do you see the potential for more cooperation with Iran when it comes to the need to expand this into more of an extended truce that could pave the way to a settlement between the Israelis and Hamas?
We have been in constant contact with all our regional and international partners over this, including Iran. The Iranian foreign minister has been in Doha 2 times already, and this will be his 3rd visit to Doha. We have discussed with the Iranians the prospects of regional spillover of this conflict, and we have made sure that we relate to all our partners in the region the complexities that would result from any regional spillover and the need for us all to work together to make sure that this conflict is contained and that we work together also to walk back from the 7th of October into a return to peace in the region. And therefore, we work with everybody, including the Iranians, to make sure that these messages get across. Becky?
Sorry, can I just confirm again? The full list of 50 hostages, has that been handed over to you and then you have the 13 names to be released tomorrow? Or have you just got the list of 13 for Friday release?
The lists exchanged today were of those who will be exchanged tomorrow within the agreement, and every day will include lists of the day itself.
Because as I understood it, you were anticipating, as part of the agreement, getting the full list of 50 hostages being held by Hamas.
Yeah, we will be getting more information over all of them and those who are not part of this deal within the course of the 4 days. But right now, the lists that are being exchanged with both sides are the list of the day.
And one other question to you, if you don't mind. Benjamin Netanyahu was very keen to point out that the US president had played a significant part in upping the number of hostages who would be released and lowering the cost of those releases to the Israelis. Can you just comment on the role that the US President has played?
Yes, I can't testify to what the Prime Minister has mentioned. What I can tell you is that we are working very closely with the United States over this, and as you know, we had various delegations from the US administration come here, the last of which was Brett McGurk, and before that, of course, Secretary Blinken, and we have been in constant contact. You know, President Biden has been calling on His Highness the Emir, and we had constant calls between both sides to make sure that we work together on this, and we appreciate, of course, the work done by the United States to make sure that the deal comes to fruition, and we continue to work with the United States over this. I can't speak of the details of how the role of the United States was formulated, but I can tell you that, of course, with the communication that's taking place all across the board, the Americans were very instrumental, especially in working with Israel over the details of the deal. Salaam.
بالنسبة للمساعدات، هل تم التوافق على عدد معين من شحنات المساعدات وأيضا من الشاحنات التي ستدخل من منفذ رفح إلى غزة، وأيضا كم عدد شاحنات الوقود التي ستدخل باعتباره أنه ضروري جدا للمرافق الحيوية ومستشفيات؟
هذه صابر المعلومات حول المساعدات سنوافيكم فيها في وقت لاحق. احنا أردنا فقط أن نعطيكم معلومات حول بداية الهدنة وإطلاق إطلاق سراح الرهائن. حاليا المعلومات حول المساعدات غير موجودة عندي وسنوافيكم فيها فوق حصولنا.
لو سمحت بالعربي فقط متابعة لزميلي من الجزيرة الإنجليزية، هل وصل وزير الخارجية الإيراني إلى الدوحة؟ هل هنالك أيضا بحث مع وزير الخارجية الإيراني عن أيضا الجبهة الشمالية بالنسبة لإسرائيل، الصراع بين حزب الله والاحتلال الإسرائيلي؟ هل هنالك سيكون حديث ربما حتى وساطة قطرية مستقبلا لتوسيع هذه الوساطة لوقف أيضا اشتعال هذه الجبهة؟
طبعا كما قلت قبل قليل، وزير الخارجية الإيراني الدكتور حسين أمير عبد اللهيان جاء إلى الدوحة في زيارته الثالثة الآن، والزيارة مجدولة. بينما أتحدث معك الآن المفروض أن يكون هو وقت عقد الاجتماع بين الطرفين. حقيقة ليس لدي تأكيد إذا فعلا تم عقد الاجتماع أو لا، ولكن بلا شك كانت هذه الزيارة مجدولة اليوم. وكما قلت كذلك أن التواصل مع جميع الأطراف في المنطقة، ومنها طبعا الجمهورية الإسلامية الإيرانية، كان في إطار ضمان أن لا يتسع نطاق هذه الأزمة خارج حدوده الحالية، ولا تتحول هذه الأزمة إلى أزمة إقليمية، وخطورة هذا الأمر طبعا بشكل عام على الوضع في الإقليم. تفضل
دكتور ماجد، ربما للتأكيد يعني ماذا عن الأسرى المفرج عنهم الفلسطينيين؟ هل لهم حرية التوجه إلى ديارهم أم إلى أماكن محددة؟ وكذلك آلية مراقبة هذه الهدنة، من المخول بمراقبة هذه الهدنة؟ وأيضا كذلك الاعتقالات اليومية التي تمارس ضد الفلسطينيين في الضفة الغربية، هل ستتوقف أم أن الهدنة لم تتطرق إلى هذه الاعتقالات اليومية؟ وما مصير هؤلاء المعتقلين بشكل يومي؟
طبعا الهدنة كما قلت، وهذا الاتفاق هو كان فيما يخص التصعيد الجاري في قطاع غزة، ولكن بلا شك أننا نأمل أن تؤدي هذه الهدنة إلى حالة هدوء عامة في الأراضي الفلسطينية بشكل عام. ولكن نطاق هذا الاتفاق هو الحرب الدائرة حاليا رحاها في قطاع غزة. ايش كان سؤالك الثاني؟ ليس لدينا حاليا ما نؤكد في هذا الخصوص. نؤكد فقط أن مقابل النساء والأطفال الذين سيتم الإفراج عنهم من جانب حركة المقاومة الإسلامية حماس، سيكون هناك أيضا نساء وأطفال يتم الإفراج عنهم من السجون الإسرائيلية بأعداد متفاوتة.
Dr. Ansari, Hashim from Al Jazeera English. Could you give us a sense of what happens tomorrow starting from 7 a.m. when it comes to you and the Egyptians mediating this deal, the way you will be monitoring this? Are you setting up an operations room when you're looking at all the aspects, the military security and humanitarian of the deal, the moment you'll have to step in to say, no, we have to put it this way?
We, of course, we are not on the ground, which is always a handicap for overseeing the deal itself. What is happening right now is that the operations room here in Doha has direct lines of communication with the political office here in Doha of Hamas, and with the Israeli side, and with the Red Cross, and it's all happening in real time, where we are monitoring everything that happens, any report that might come in of any breach, any report about the hostages, any additional information that we can relay between the three sides that we are working with, along with our partners in the region, including Egypt and internationally, including the United States, so we can make sure that we immediately jump in to continue our mediation work and to make sure that we troubleshoot any issue that might arise in the ground. So the operations room is very instrumental, and working with those parties I mentioned is very instrumental to make sure that the deal goes through the way it was agreed upon. Yes, Stephen.
You said that 13 hostages will be released tomorrow. How many Palestinian prisoners will be released tomorrow in the first?
I'm not aware of that piece of information right now. We will come to you with it. But as I said, it's a reciprocal deal, so we're expecting a release to happen, and this will be announced, in the similar time frame.
But that list has been
yes, the lists. Yeah, so the lists have been approved. They have been given to both sides. The Palestinians have the list of those who will be released from Israeli prisons, and the Israelis have the list. The Mossad has a list of the hostages that will be released from Gaza for the first day.
So I'm just not sure why the number isn't clear.
That's the information I was briefed upon, okay. And with the current situation, sure. You have to allow me some leeway in not knowing everything at all the time.
Can I just follow up on the
sure,
ICRC information that Stephen was asking about earlier on? You've had two proofs of concept, effectively. The release twice of 2 female prisoners. So 4 prisoners have been released in 2 separate releases, and the ICRC obviously operationalized those releases. So I know that you can't give us any detail on what's going to happen. You've said that twice now, but can we expect that the ICRC's involvement this time will be similar or the same as, and perhaps you can use whichever term you think best expresses what's going to happen, because we have seen this before. So is it going to be similar to, the same as?
I would assume that as long as it's happening within the same parameters and in the same conflict and within the same situation, that it would, of course, fall into the same mechanisms. As I said, they are working with us in the operations room in real time. Their people on the ground will be ready to receive the hostages. I will have to stop at that and not mention any details regarding how the exchange is going to take place to maintain the success and the safety of the hostages also.
Can I just ask you, just on behalf of the people in the room here and journalists around the world, access into Gaza is limited to a very few working journalists at present. This is a humanitarian pause and the possibility of it being extended. I mean, has there been any conversation about allowing for journalists to get in on the ground? You've just expressed that you're not on the ground, and that's difficult in and of itself in this humanitarian pause and affecting the operation of this hostage release. So how about journalists getting on the ground? Have you had any discussions?
Well, I know that a lot of your respectable organizations are trying to get people out of Gaza at the moment and get them into safety, which is, of course, something that we are all working towards through the mediation process. I'm not aware that the agreement includes any caveat about getting journalists in. We applaud all the coverage that all the brave journalists have been doing inside Gaza and those who gave up their lives, and we give our condolences to them and to their families and to the organizations which they graced for so long of a time, and the bravery of those who brought us the truth from the field is something that we should all be thankful for, and something that we agree is in all instances a level of bravery that a lot of us would not have. لا هذا أنا ما قلتها، هاي من عندك هالكلام. لا لحظة احنا ما قلنا بيتم تسليم عن طريق معبر رفح. لا هذه من عندك. إيه. لا مثل ما قلت قبل قليل، احنا حاليا نتحدث عن ان تم تبادل القوائم بين الطرفين، سيتم الافراج عنهم كما هو يتم الحال عادة، ولكن حتى الآن ما عندي معلومات دقيقة حول كيف سيتم الإفراج في الطرف الإسرائيلي. ما يمكن أن نقوله هو أن الاتفاق الآن تم على أن يتم الإفراج بين الطرفين، والقوائم بالنسبة لليوم الأول موجودة لدى الطرفين. طيب يعطيكم العافية. شكرا لكم.